In the world of cigars, there's a name we all know, David Garofalo, with a passion that shows. From Two Guys Cigars to the Cigar Authority, he brings us the best with such clarity. Oh, David Garofalo, your legacy's grand with Two Guys Cigars.
There you go. There you go.
I love it.
I'm done. Welcome, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Leaf and Ash podcast. I'm your host, Panda, along with my three compadres. And before we get to our special guest for the evening, let me introduce you to my boys here. On the top left, we got my boy, the Don himself, Cigar Don.
What's going on, guys?
On the bottom left, as you can see, Mr. Bougie himself. Looking with the background. Mr. B, Silverback. What's going on, big man?
What's going on, baby? How y'all doing today? And welcome to our guests, man.
I hear you. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, the gentleman in the top right, the one-finger pecker sensation, the man behind the curtain himself, JJ, a.k.a. the Cigar Mutt. What's going on?
How you beautiful people doing out there?
All right. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor to introduce Mr. David Garofalo from the Cigar Authority. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Garofalo.
My pleasure. Thank you. I'm the center square or whatever you call this, but honored to be here. Thank you so much for asking.
Thank you. You know, we were speaking earlier. You know, we know you're very busy, and we greatly, truly appreciate you taking the time to spend with us to kind of pick your brain in regards to what we're about to ask you, which is going to be the industry, the podcasting, etc. So hopefully you're ready for the ride.
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. So basically what I've seen and I've read up, you know, you definitely have a super special niche when it comes to podcasting in the cigar industry. And you seem to be the longest running, you know, which is phenomenal for the industry as a whole. What would you contribute that success in you being on for so long?
I never quit. I keep going. That's part of what I do. When I grab onto something, I'm gonna keep doing it till I get it right. And that's what I've been doing. I did podcasting because I actually wasn't good at social media, and the social media part of it was getting on there and following these multiple stories that were going on all at once. And I read this book back in 2009 that mentioned podcasting. So I said, okay, let me look into that. And that was actually a one-way conversation at that point. And I said, I think I can pull that off. Let me try that. And I had a background in nightclub disc jockeying, so there's no nervousness for me to talk in front of a camera or in front of an audience, so I'll be fine doing that. But it really was about educating the consumer. And as a retailer for now, my 40th year, the consumer actually was begging for information. And they want more. I know this from consumers coming in. 75% they say want to talk about cigars when they come in. There's some people don't want to be bothered and they want to grab their stuff and go, but the vast majority wanted more. So I said, how can I give them more and handle a lot of people at once, you know, other than in my four walls of a store? How can I do it? And that was a way. So I started it. And at the beginning, we're talking 2010, I had to tell people what a podcast was and that they had it on their phone. And see that little square in there? Let me show you. And I did it to most of the people that would come in and say, here, you're subscribed. This is how you do it. And nobody took to it at the beginning. But after a while, it built and built and built. And then others came along, which is great. And it has become something. I'm still lousy at social media, but I can pull this one off. So I keep doing it. And I say until I get it right, but it's never right. It's just like cigar making, right? They just keep making it better and better as it goes on. So that's what we're trying to do on the Cigar Authority.
You have definitely done a phenomenal job. you know, would you say that, or should I say, when do you think was it the big blow up? Like, okay, you know what, I've made it. Because I know that during the pandemic, a lot of people were using Zoom. People, like you said, a lot of people didn't really know about the podcasting aspect of it. Do does did COVID have any attributes to it, or it added to your fan base?
It was a big boost that ended up happening, especially live at the time, because most people had our show happens at 12 noon Eastern on Saturday, so people are out and about. The vast majority of people listen to us on Monday morning when to work, I guess, or uh, at work, and we look at those things. But during the pandemic, we would be 10 times the amount of live listeners that we had because people had time to do it. They could take care of errands and stuff during the week because they didn't have to be at work. It also grew in the number of people that were learning about Zoom and all these different things of how you could connect. We always like to have our guests right with us, as opposed to trying to pull it off like this. We do it when we have to, but would rather actually have the person there. During that time, we had no choice. Nobody would come. So we Zoomed during that, but people learned about podcasting, listening to podcasts and building podcasts. We created a podcast studio. So here's my office that I'm in right now. Straight ahead from me here is right where we film the Cigar Authority, the Ashholes, the After Show, and 30 other podcasts during the week. Not cigar related, but podcasts about whatever subject they are. And there's somebody working in the studio with them, and they are able to do their show from there. And that's when people started really listening to podcasts. The unfortunate thing is we lost a whole bunch of our podcasters because they stopped coming during COVID, when it would have been the most ideal time to grow their audience at that time. But, we got to go into a building. There's other people there. People got scared and they pushed away. Some of them came back, a small few, but most of them left and never came back. And that's the thing. So, it's 14 years of the Cigar Authority now, and we never missed an episode. That's what I'm most proud of. Every single Saturday, without a doubt, there's been a show. Doesn't matter if it's Christmas Day. We'll tape it the day before if we have to. We never missed a show because it's really for the audience. It's not for us. Our audience expects us to be there, so we are there for them each week. And consistency built the show, that it was there all the time. And some of our competitors that are out there, I don't like to even say competitors because I love them all. They're great for the industry. That's what we want. But if I was to say what's their missing element is, you can't miss the show because, if it's 2 weeks in a row and the person looks after 1 week, you're not there. They look the second week, and then maybe they don't look the third week. They forgot all about it. They move on. So consistency, I believe, and that's what I say to our fellow podcasters that do their shows with us, is even if you got to put a couple in the can, we call it, which is tape a couple for emergencies. If you're sick or something, have it there for them each and every time. And year after year after year, and this is after 14 years, we still build. Our numbers still grow each and every time. There's more people listening to podcasts than ever before. But at the same time, there's more podcasts. Lots more podcasts that we're able to build. There was a couple before us, actually, cigar podcasts, but then they stopped. So that's why we're not the first, but we're the longest lasting. Nobody came before us 15 years ago and is still doing it. So consistency and being there. And, I see some of these people that come and visit us because we're open to the public every episode. There's a studio audience every time we do a show. And sometimes they come from far away, and here we are. They happen to be visiting the Boston area, and they come up to see us, and we're here for them. And, I hear the stories, and you probably hear it too, of people that listen to you. They know you. And they don't know you. It's the weirdest thing. They come in and say, I know you, and I don't know who they are, but they know me oh so well. They know who my grandson is. They know who my daughter is. They know, each and every little thing that we do, because in 2 hours per week, 52 weeks a year, 14 years, it's all out. If you want to know anything about me, it's all out there. So there's no skeletons at this point. They got it all.
And you made a valid point. You're absolutely right. To be consistent and staying relevant, right? Because that's the most important aspect of it, is to stay relevant. I've noticed in the industry that you see now more females in smoking now, which is a whole different, venue or group of individuals that love to enjoy the leaf just as we do. And to me, I embrace that. You know what I mean? And to me, I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's great, especially when your significant other enjoys going to a lounge with you and just enjoying that experience. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's changed a lot over the years. Again, I'm 40 years in the cigar business. It wasn't. This was the old guys club for many years. Cigar boom of the 90s come, and we got a younger generation to get in, which was great. And as time went on, it wasn't just a old white guy thing anymore. It became diversification all across the board. And this year at the trade show, they had a women's group get together, and they happened to be right where I was, and there was hundreds of women that were there. These are shop owners, brand owners, people that work in the offices and stuff. And as much as it's crazy to say, wow, look at all the women in the industry, if and when you go to a cigar factory, you're going to be amazed, because it's almost all women that are the people that make the cigars on top of it. So they were just never looked upon as they're the consumer of it, but there they are with a cigar in their mouth, rolling the cigar. So they've probably been there all this time, but we weren't looking.
Yeah.
And that is a valid point. So I mean, you've had the privilege to interview a lot of big people in the industry. Who would you say will probably rank in your top three that you've truly enjoyed interviewing in all the years that you've been on?
I interviewed Hanky Kellner. He was the master blender at Davidoff, and I've known Hanky for a long time, and talked to him many times before the interview ended up happening. But it was one of those things, as the questions started going and he opened up, I learned a lot of stuff during it, and the people from Davidoff were there in the audience watching, and we go to commercial break, and they said, oh my God, I didn't even know that. Most of the questions I ask, I know the answers to. They say don't ask a question you don't know the answer to, but that was a very interesting one, because as he would say something, it led down a different path, and I started asking questions, and I didn't realize, I've known this guy for a lot of years. I didn't realize this. He's a remarkable guy. So it's usually the older people. Avo Yavazian from Avo Cigars back in the day. He was great. With Jose Padron, that's the father. He never spoke English, and I never spoke Spanish. But we had many a conversation with an interpreter, which is his son, and I joke with him all the time and say, I asked this question this long, your dad answered it this long, and then the answer you gave me was this big. What did he really say? But there was another smart man. So listen to some elders that are in the cigar industry, because they're remarkable people. But then, I'm a student to business, being in the cigar business. It's a business, and Al McAuliffe is fascinating guy when it comes to his other businesses and what he learned along the way getting into the cigar business, because that's altogether different as that goes on. So that is interesting. Aganosa, the folks from Aganosa Leaf, they're one of the biggest tobacco growers in the world, and another smart businessman that made fortunes in other businesses, and then they get into this business. I tell you, you guys are lovers of the leaf, right? You love tobacco. usually when a smart man gets into this business, they really love the business because they're smart enough to know that this isn't the business to get rich from. This is the business to give to. They do it because they love it, because it just takes so long to end up making the product. I don't make product myself, but you're talking about growing tobacco leaves and then after 3 years turning it into a cigar, and then after another year selling it out, and then starting the plantation again, and to make the little amount that they make, when anything else, I can't think of anything that would be that long to do. But you could grow a vegetable and then you turn the vegetable that quick. Not when it comes to cigars. It's like actually the worst crop, but they do it because they love it. And then when you get into why they love it, that becomes another story too. Stories behind the stories are always interesting. We started an after show some years ago, because after the show was over, it was Skip Martin from Romacraft. The show was over. The people are still in the audience, and we're talking. And he said, "You see this? This is what I would buy an ad on." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "The discussion that just happened after the show was over. This was the best." Because, and the same thing happens on commercial breaks and stuff. It's like, I wish I could run the commercials. I don't know if they start loosening up a little. Okay, the camera's off. I can talk now or whatever. But there's some gold that happens during commercial breaks or immediately following the show too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a bunch more questions, but I'm going to pass it along to my next guys. And when it gets back, I'll keep picking your brain. So I'm going to pass it along to you, Don. What do you say, my brother?
Hey, again, I want to echo everybody's thank you so much for taking the time with us, and just we're at the point now where we want to be where you are someday. So it's fascinating for us to talk to you. So I was listening to a podcast that you were on, and a big point of contention for all of us is a certain list that comes out every year in a magazine, and it we all look at that list and we went, come on, and I heard you talk about you have a cigar of the year that you do. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you came about that?
Yeah, I started in the cigar of the year. I came out with it in 1992, which coincidentally was the first year that magazine came to be. But they didn't have a cigar of the year, but I did. And of all the new things, my criteria was new, right? Of all the new things that came out, what do I think was the best that came out? And I wear a bunch of different hats. So the fact of the matter is, every cigar that I get, I buy. I'm a big buyer of cigars. And, some people will say, your cigar of the year really doesn't count because you own a cigar store. It's all the more that mine should count. The magazine gets the cigars for free, and they're tasting a cigar. I'm looking at my thousands of customers who come in and buy. I'm looking at, which is my number one criteria, is when they're voting and they don't even realize they're voting. They came in and they bought a single cigar. And then the next time they come in, they say, that cigar was really good. Give me a few more of those. And then the third time they come in, they say, give me a box of those. Boy, if that isn't a vote. They didn't know they were voting, but that's a vote. And you watch things like that happen, and you say it's repeat customers, and they're buying more each time they do it, and they're brand switching from all different things, and I can look at that information. That information is available to me. It's not available to the magazines. It's not available to the manufacturers. It is available to the retailer who has that computer system to be able to do it. It's not even difficult anymore. Back in the day, it was a little work to do, but now, boom, here's the information that's there. So sometimes, believe me, I go back to a cigar, I see it, all of a sudden going, and I don't care much about the cigar, and I go back and I say, let me try that cigar again, and undoubtedly, it's like this one got past me, or maybe the sample I originally got was okay. I smoked it in Las Vegas at 100 and something degree temperature, and it was dry or whatever. It was okay, good enough to buy. But wow, the cigar's coming in right now, and it's really good, because really, if you're spending good money on that, you just don't see it. People do not continue to buy over and over cigars that are subpar. It's possible that an old brand could be subpar, and they're brand buyers, and they're buying that brand, and the brand has changed hands. It's not even in the same country, different manufacturers, but it still says the name on it, and they're still buying it. But if I'm dealing with the cigar of the year, this year's product, that doesn't even fall into place. So I get to look at this, and I end up not only telling my list what the cigar of the year is, I go back to 1992 and I read off all these brands that at that time was a brand new cigar. And, you know, when La Flor Dominicana was the cigar of the year back in 94, nobody knew what La Flor Dominicana was. And now you look at it and say, well, of course it was La Flor Dominicana. No, you wouldn't have said that. And then it's each year, they're all new cigars. And they had their day, and that's when it was at its peak. Now, some days you'll look at it and say, you know, brand X, I don't like it anymore. And I can tell you why it's not the same cigar as it was 25 years ago. It's not owned by the same people. They don't make it at the same place, doesn't use the same tobacco. But let me tell you, in that year, that was the cream of the crop because people were buying it over and over again, and it was growing like crazy. So it's as accurate as I can be. There's no reason for me to say this one is better than that one for no reason, because I got to buy both of them. It's not like the manufacturers are giving me any cigars. They take money from me. I give them money. They take it from me. So it's the opposite when it comes to a publication. The publication takes their money in the form of advertising, and hopefully they're credible and they try to do the right thing too. But it's hard to say, and especially when it's the same thing over and over and over again. If it quacks like a duck, and it sounds like a duck, and it walks like a duck, and you know, a few years back, I think we did a show guessing what they were going to pick, and we got it. I even know what they're going to do before they do it. I mean, it's almost embarrassing at this point.
Well, and I heard you say on that show that year, whatever the year the podcast was, the cigar of the year for the magazine was the H. Upmann, and your quote was, "That cigar was made in 1875."
Yeah,
it made me chuckle. Like,
yeah. No, I end up saying that, you know, if that was the case, the movie of the year is The Godfather, right? Mm-hmm. It's not. That came out in 72, and great movie, but no, it's not the movie of the year this year, and it's not the automobile of the year, but everybody does their thing. All in all, listen, I have fun looking at it. I wait that morning and click the button to see what it is, because I'm a bigger geek than anybody. And I want to know what other people think too. And I want to see if maybe I missed something. And believe me, if we don't carry the cigar and there's something I want to see, I go to a cigar store like anybody else, and I go buy the cigar and I try it, and I'm usually right. It's like, whatever.
So my next question is, you know, I read a lot about you. You've had a lot of entrepreneurial experience and marketing and that kind of stuff. And something that drives me bananas in the cigar industry is you get these cigars that, and mostly they're the bigger makers, and they come out with this cigar, and it's the hype of the world, and nobody can get it. It's a limited release. It's a, you know, and that drive to me, the marketing strategy was, we got the best thing on the planet. Let's sell as many as we can.
Sure.
But I don't understand that marketing in you know, you just name, you know, the Andalusian Bull and the Amazon Basin and the, you know, Encore Black, and it's so hard to find that, you know, the regular guy that's going out to the cigar store is not going to find and smoke that cigar.
I hate it because it takes a lot of time to, and I don't want to say brand switch, because we're not trying to brand switch people, but I always like when the customer comes in and I know their taste profile. I can see it. We keep track of every single customer we have, and we look at it and I say, I got to show you something. You should add one of these into there. I'm not trying to take one away from the other one. That's okay. But you should add one of these because I think you're going to end up liking it. And the voyage of this whole cigar thing, of trying different things and trying to find the next thing, is the whole fun of it to me anyway. Somebody that smokes the same thing every single day, oh my God, you're missing 80% of the whole fun of this thing. So you should try different things. So we try to do it. And then the guy comes back and says, wow, I really love that. You told me to get it. And then I have to say to him, yeah, we don't have that anymore. They're sold out, and I can't get any more either. I hate it, they've heard it from me. The manufacturers have heard it from me. I don't like getting a lot of that stuff because it angers the customer. At the end, I want happy customers, and at the same time, I want to sell them like I do with a cigar that becomes Cigar of the Year. You came in and bought a few of them, you liked them a lot. Hey, give me a box. We don't have it anymore. It doesn't make any sense to business. But some people only want the limited product, and they only want it because it's limited, and it's not all that. And I've gone as far as to say that to somebody that comes in and they say, oh, the new limited such and such came in, and I shake my head to them. I know them, they're customers, but they're friends too at the same time, and I shake my head like, no, you're not going to like this and stuff. No, I got to try it. I said, okay. And then it's like, yeah, I didn't like that. I go, it wasn't very good. Right. Some years they come out with a good one. Some years they don't come out with a good one. And, maybe somebody's going to come get it anyway. But this is a guy that comes in all the time. So I'm shaking my head no to him. But, it's limited. I have to try it. I get it. I get it because I would, it's like, wow, this is terrible. Taste it. And then you taste it. Like, what kind of idiot does that? But
it's like the baby asking for the lemon. But
yes, sure.
So we're kind of on this journey to find cigars that we don't know about, boutique brand cigars and that kind of stuff that we don't know about. Like this is one that we've recently come across, the West Tampa. West Tampa, such a good cigar. So is there a brand that you recommend to maybe an experienced smoker that's looking to but try some new things, versus a boutique brand versus a heritage brand?
Yeah, typically, and it's I'm saying this as a whole, so it's not everybody, but boutique is the way to go, only simply because they're making small batches. For the most part, sometimes they go to one of these big companies and they say, "Hey, here's the label. Just put this on your cigar, and it becomes their cigar." So, believe me, there's some of that goes out too. But these little small batches, you're talking about rolling slower, more careful on as opposed to mass production. The number one hamburger in the world is McDonald's. Nobody thinks that the McDonald's hamburger is the best hamburger that's out there. They sell the most, but there's no way it's the best hamburger. It couldn't be the best hamburger because they sell billions of them, right? It says so right on the sign. And the same goes for beer. The same goes for cigars. The same goes for everything. So also I love the little guy. I'm a strong component on the David versus Goliath thing, that the little guy is the guy I'm rooting for all the time. And when I got into the business, there was a lot of family-owned and operated cigar manufacturers. There still are today, but not as many as there were before. Almost everybody was. But some of these giants came out, and we're talking about from other countries. And we're talking massive, gigantic companies with faceless CEOs. Like, they don't know who I am. I don't know who they are. And they're just gigantic giants, and they're just mass producing products. And they have great trademark names. They bought all the famous stuff. When somebody gets to a certain point and they're starting to really, show some legs, these big guys buy them out, sometimes squashing them. They buy them and they squash them on top of it. And that happens in all industries. And they want to have a complete takeover. The great thing, knock on wood, in this industry is we have some big companies out there. Toro Fuente, Padron, Perdomo. Those are family-owned and operated businesses. They're pretty big companies. Rocky Patel. These are big companies that are out there. And the big giants have gone to these companies trying to buy them out, and as luck would have it, they love the industry too, and they say no. And believe me, we're talking huge money, and they say no, it's generational, we're passing it on to the next generation. I'm so happy to see when you see somebody, let's take Fuente for instance, starting a plantation in Nicaragua now, and they're getting ready to roll out Nicaraguan cigars you'll probably see in a year. Oh my God. and the father passed away. The son Carlito takes over. Well, he has a son too, and his son's into it. So is Nicholas Perdomo. He's into it. So that's not going anywhere. And as I see and talk to these people, watching this next generation come in, I'm so excited that it's not going to go away, because it would have went away if it went to only a handful of mass giant companies, faceless, nameless brand owners. That's part of it that goes away too, because I'm sure all you guys have met the brand owner of some brand. And, it doesn't happen in any other industry. You're not going to meet the brand owner of Chevrolet because there isn't. It's CEOs and, we get to meet the brand owner of a product that we use. It was amazing to me when I got into the business that, oh my God, this is the guy on the band. This is him, and as a young guy, I remember going to Avo Yavazian. Hey, Avo, sign my box, and all these different people. And as time went on, and I got friendly with them, and the next thing you know, I'm at their house. I don't ask them to sign a box anymore. I'd rather them sign a check, to be honest with you. But I got to know them all.
And we all kind of had that experience. We went when we were in Tampa, we went to the J.C. Newman factory, and Eric Newman came down and had a chat with us. It was surreal for us. I'm sure it's not for him.
Right.
He probably scheduled that for every tour, but for us, it was like, oh man, he came down just to see us.
He's a great man. His father was before him, and his son is now. That seems to be taking over. Drew Newman and his brother Bobby too. They're the gentlemen of the cigar industry. They're tickled pink when people come to visit them. They're humble guys, but that's the oldest cigar factory in the United States. What an unbelievable history, and nice, great guys to begin with. But they love it. They love it, and that's why they do it. And I said to Eric, you got to pass off this to Drew, and he goes, I'm doing it like this. I'm holding on, though. I'm holding it. He's not passing the torch. The father didn't either. His father, Stanford Newman, died at the desk, 90 years old, after lunch, went in his office, and went in the office, lit a cigar. He's doing some paperwork, and his heart stopped. Boom. And that was it at 90. And you got Avo at 93 and Padron 91, and one after the other, that these people end up staying there all the time. Believe me, they all did very well. They weren't there for the money at all. And most of us aren't. At the beginning, you got to build a business and you got to do it, but the love of this industry comes in, and the next thing you know, you're not doing it. You're not doing it for that at all. And what I love to see also is these guys, when they make it, they're helping the next generation, not just in their company. We're talking the next generation of their competitors and their competitors' children and stuff. But they're competitors. They compete for somebody who's going to buy their cigars or that cigars. There's not a lot of that they're cool with each other. And I know this because I do a big event every single year, and I have 20 different manufacturers show up, and they all hang out with each other, and they all talk with each other. And you see them at trade shows. Sometimes they're too busy. They're not too busy when they're at my event, and they're all hanging out, laughing, having a good time. And I said, this is it. This is why I stayed in this business. And I tried different businesses, but when I get in this business, I said, that's what I want. As I was watching Eric Newman's father with Carlos Fuente, which was a competitor as his at the time, before they ended up joining forces. And I go, this is unbelievably beautiful. And why not? Why shouldn't it be? This industry is pretty united. There's some people in everything. But for the most part, when it comes down to the family-owned and operated, listen, there's nobody we can talk to but ourselves with each other that know what we go through. We're all in the same thing together. And let me tell you, family-owned businesses aren't easy, because these are the same people you work with and then you go home with, and you're with them all the time. So there's things that end up happening. So who do we talk to about that? We talk to each other about it. Say, after a hard day at work, and then you got to go home and you got to listen to that or whatever it is. But, we get through it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. I'm going to pass this over to PC, and I appreciate it, and best of luck going forward. Like I said, we hope to be where you are someday.
I hope so.
Yeah. And David, I appreciate you coming by, man, and I really appreciate you. And I'm really interested in, after doing research on you, and I was looking at you, an author, entrepreneur, and a speaker, and it drove me, to look at other things about you and stuff like that. And I got to thinking, what drives you? So tell me a little bit about what young David is like, and and what was your drive? Because when you have a podcast that expands time, you got to tell me what the younger thought process was for you to get where you are now.
So my mother is 93 years old. She lives with us now, and she's still pretty independent, but she lives with us at 93 years old, and she's very, very proud of me. And but she talks to me about young me,
Mm-hmm.
or I can remember. And she said, "This is who you were when you were little too, and this is always how you were." And very entrepreneurial spirit. That at 6 years old, I'm a paper boy, and I'm shoveling manure at the racetrack at 8 years old. And I took a liking to cartoons and stuff when I was a kid, so I drew cartoons, and she saved things. She's my mother, right? So she'd save things. So one day, and this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, she said, "I got something to show you," and she pulls out this big pad of cartoons. And I said, "Oh my God," I'm looking at these cartoons, and I said, "I remember this. I remember these cartoons." I don't know, 7 years old or whatever. And she said, "That's not even the amazing thing." As I flipped through, it was a cartoon course that I wrote to teach people how to draw cartoons.
Oh my gosh!
And she said, "How does a 7-year-old kid," and my parents weren't entrepreneurs. My father worked at the post office. And she said, "How did you put this together, and why did you do it?" And I said, "Well, I wish you asked me when I was 7 years old. I'm 64. I don't remember what I had for lunch today. I don't know." And she said, "This was the stuff that you would do, and me and your father would look at you, because I have a brother that was nothing like me, and look at him and say, what's up with him? Why is he doing these things?" And we didn't have entrepreneurs in the family either. It wasn't like I was looking at my grandfather or anything, but I started doing that. At the age of 17, I got a job for 1 week at a local diner because the lady in the diner was taking her kid to Disneyland, and she said, "Any chance you could fill in for me for the week?" And it was school vacation for me, February school vacation. So I'm off for the week. And I said, "I'll do it, but I don't know how to do it, but I'll do it." And she said, "Okay, it'll be easy. They're going to hand you something and you're going to pass it off to the thing, but I got to have somebody fill in." So I did. On the third day of working at that diner, I bought the diner from the guy that owned the diner. I bought it from him. And he was miserable, and I was talking to him each day, and I said, "Why are you here?" And he said, "Well, I inherited it from my mother, and this is a family thing." And I go, "You hate it so much. Why don't you go do something you don't hate?" And he said, "Well, how do you do that?" And I said, "Sell the business and do something you don't hate. You're still a young enough man. You're going to be ruined the rest of your life that, you're going to put 40, 50 hours a week into something you hate." And he said, "You're right. If I could find somebody to buy it." And I said, "Me." And he said, "Really, you'd be interested?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "How do we price it?" And I said, 2 times what you earn in a year. So whatever that number was, we're talking back and forth. And he said, "I'd take that." So I said, "I would give it to you." And he said, "Do you want to do it?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "There's one problem. I don't have any money." So he said, "Well, why would you have this conversation with me?" I said, I have an idea. And he said, "What's the idea?" I said, "I'll pay you every week for 52 weeks, twice what you earn now. And if I miss a payment, you take it back. So you're on vacation for a year, but every single week I pay you. You hope I miss 48 weeks into it, but I'll never miss."
Right.
So he said, "All right, I'll do it." And I said, "Okay." I said, "The problem is I'm still in high school. We have to wait till May. And when I get out of graduate high school, I'll take it over. So he said, okay. I said, in the meantime, I have to come work here for free every day after school because I don't know how to cook. So he said, okay. I said, you'll teach me how to cook? He said, if you'll work for free. I said, okay. So from then I worked till free till I was able to have enough money to end up buying the diner and starting the next thing. I remember even saying to my mother that she said, oh, how was work today when I came back? And I said, oh, I bought the place. And she says, what are you talking about? Decide. And I did. I bought the place with no money. So it's a creative way to figure it out. And that's a little part of my superpower, I would say, is
Mhm.
there's a way. There's a way. It might not be the perfect way. It might not be the best way, but there's a way. So when the economy gets tough, how do we stay in business? When things are going wrong, what do you do here? And you try to figure a different way. There's many, many ways to do it. And I know plenty of people highly successful in the cigar business that do it a different way than I do, but they're highly successful. I do it the way I can do it. And I figured out that way. I figured out the way that makes me tick. And part of that is, and as I tell everybody to, you got to do it every single week. You got to do your show every single week. It's actually how I live my life. If you see me, this is the shirt I wear every single day. Well, I have a whole bunch of them. If you looked at my closet, it's comical because it's all the same pants, it's all the same shirts, it's all the same shoes, it's all a whole bunch of the same things because it makes it easy for me. I'm in uniform. That's it. There's nothing to think about. So I can get that out. If I could only get my wife to make the same food every day, she won't do that. I said, how about if Friday's always pizza day and Saturday's always hot dogs and beans or something? Nope. But then it gets to, what do you want tonight? I don't care. And we're dragging this out. I'm like, could we just pick something and go with this thing? Because that's what makes me tick of the repetition of it, that I'm fine doing it. Going to work every day, same time, same toothpaste, same deodorant, same shirt, it's just the same thing. And it works for me. And I don't have to think about that. And I can think about, okay, what's the problem? What's the problem?
Right.
How can we get more listeners on the podcast? How can we make the show more entertaining? Always trying to make it better. Knock on wood, our retail shops are probably the best in the country, if not the world. I didn't do it by myself. It's my staff. It's awesome. We got a lot of things going for us. But every day, how can we do better? What can we do to tweak it, make it go a little better? And if I keep doing that, we can stay on top. As far as my competitors go, I urge them to be better than me. I urge you to be better than me, because if you are, you're going to make me better. I'm going to work harder to try to be better. And as they say, rising tides raise all ships. So
That's right.
I love it. I love competition, and it drives me. It's not money. It's I want to be the best I can be.
Well, and I asked the question simply because I noticed, I read something or I saw something where you used to DJ, and you had this one ritual that you would do before you did every show. You would buy a cigar before every show, and you would smoke that cigar. And that's what led me to ask that question. But I want to ask you, a two-part question on that. What cigar was it that, if you remember, and two, was that the influence to you getting into the cigar business because you had a love for the stick that you used to smoke before those
Absolutely.
events?
Absolutely. So back in the day, we're talking the disco days, right? 1978 to 1990.
JJ, that was before
way before you, JJ.
Yeah,
That was before me.
He's the baby of the group.
and the club scene was big. The club scene was big, and I was good
Right.
at what I did then too. And at the beginning of the night, nobody ever wanted to go to the clubs early. You don't want to be the first one in there. It was fashionably late. That's where that comes from, that you show up and you're ready to go. But the DJ has to be there. The music has to start. But we would play to the ashtrays. That was the wording that we said, because in those days you could smoke in the nightclubs. So there'd be ashtrays on the table, and the DJ goes in, and the bouncers are hanging out by the doorway, and I got to start playing music, but I'm playing to nobody. So it's not like I got to get a good mix going or anything like that. And I'm playing new songs, looking for the song of the year back in those days, right? What's the new thing? Actually, radio stations used to call me and say, what's playing good at the club, for the radio stations to consider what they wanted to play on the radio.
Right.
Music broke in the clubs in those days. So I would get a cigar, and if I had to pick what it was probably back in those days, Macanudo was something very mild and popular back in 1978 through the 80s. As 85 came in, and I stayed a few years having the store. Once I had that, it was a game changer because I changed cigars like crazy all the time. But back in those days, probably something mild, smooth, and creamy. That's how we sold cigars in those days. That was the taste profile of the consumer. Mild, smooth, and creamy. That's what everybody wanted. So I'd light the cigar up, and I'd enjoy the cigar, and I'd put the next record on and just play it, and the song would play. It'd play next record on, but I'm smoking the cigar. When the cigar got down to the end of it, it was time. That was it. You'd start seeing some people in the audience and then start really mixing the songs and getting the audience engaged and do whatever I had to do. Well, as a disc jockey, I worked from 8 o'clock at night to 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'd come home and then I'd go to sleep and I'd get up and I have nothing to do the next day. Every one of my friends is working. I got nothing to do, so I tried golfing. I was terrible at it. I went and bothered all my friends at their work till they said, I got to get to work here. I can't be doing this. Okay. And I said, what am I going to do? And I was going to the cigar shop every day, and I go to the cigar shop, and back in those days, it was a bunch of old guys that smoked cigars, except for me. I was an oddball, 25-year-old kid smoking cigars. And they did not treat me well. Each time I went in there, they treated me like it was the first time I was ever there. I was there every day. They never knew my name. They never said hello. They never did anything. And I'm like, it's just bad customer service, where as a disc jockey, I was all about customer service and mentioning people's names and getting people and packing the club and, playing their requests and whatever I could do. And it was quite the opposite. And I said, look at this. Let me try a different cigar store. No, it was the same thing. And these cigar stores were there for over 100 years. And I said, why don't I open a little cigar store? I got something to do in the daytime. I'll get my cigars at wholesale, and I like it. And maybe eventually some of the people my age will like it too. And that's what you start believing. When I'm smoking a cigar at a trade show, deciding, and I say, well, I like the cigar, and I go, if I like it, there's other people going to like this too, because it burns well, it tastes good, it's got good flavor, it's going to go good too. So why are my friends enjoying cigars? If any of them popped in the club I was playing at while I still had the cigar, they went up to me and said, what are you doing? And I go, what? And they go, you're smoking a cigar? And I go, yeah, I like it. And they go, what's the matter with you? As they light their Marlboro cigarette up at that point, right?
Right.
And I go, I like it. So that's it. So as luck would have it, I opened the cigar store, and it's a tough first 5 years, like any business is. I'm making money in the nightclub because I didn't quit the nightclub business because I couldn't. I'm making money, and then I'm pouring it down the drain of Two Guys Smoke Shop because it's losing money. But I believe in it. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to go. And knock on wood, man, the cigar boom starts in 1990. And all of a sudden, people my age are coming in. And boy, I can sell to people my age. It was hard selling to an old guy that he says, hey, kid, you don't know what you're talking about. But the younger kids coming in, and he goes, so what kind of cigar would I like? And I ask, how do you take your coffee? How do you drink beer? How do you spicy foods? What do you like? And try to narrow in and try to figure it out. And then begins a lot of the stuff that I learned from the DJ business, events. So every night was an event in a club, whether it be a wet T-shirt contest, a lip sync contest, whatever is going on. We did a lot of events in the clubs in those days, especially on off nights. Well, every day was an off day for me. So what am I going to do? And I remember saying to reps at the time, hey, can you come in the store on Saturday? I'm going to promote that you're going to be here. And then you help people and you tell them about your cigar. And they go, who the hell wants to hear that? It didn't exist. So I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put ads in the newspaper. If you know what that is, but I put ads in the newspaper and tell people cigar expert so and so from this company is coming down. Come visit them from 12 to 2. And I remember the first guy that came in. His name was Howard Smith. He was a rep, and I promoted that he was going to be cigar expert. Howard Smith is coming in the store from Villazon Company. They had Punch in Hoy de Monterey, and I said Saturday 12 noon, and he goes, why am I doing this? And I said, come down. I'm going to have people here. He walked in late, by the way, and the store was full of people. And he goes, what the hell is going on here? And I said, they came here to see you. And he goes, what is going on? He was so confused. He didn't know what the hell was going on. He goes, what am I supposed to do? Like, he wasn't prepared because he thought nothing was going to go on. And I said, tell him about the flavor of the cigar, the strength profile, boom, boom, boom. And I'm basically guiding him through the whole thing. And he became a good friend over the years. He passed away a few years ago, but as a retired guy many years later. But he's like, you started this whole thing. Like, it didn't exist because he was a rep for a long time. Then it became manufacturers. The second cigar dinner ever to happen. It was me. And it was only because the first cigar dinner that ever happened at the Ritz-Carlton in Boston. And I heard about it, and I said, oh, my God, I got to go to this. I have Two Guys Smoke Shop. It's 1992. And Ritz-Carlton puts on the first ever cigar dinner in the world. And it's right in Boston, right near me. And I called them up, and they said, I can't go. And I said, why can't I go? And they said, it's already, all the seats are taken. It just went on sale today. What do you mean? I want to go. No, you can't go. Now I want to know what's going on. What's happening? I'm so bullshit that I can't end up seeing it. And it happens. It gets news in the newspaper about it, how great this thing was. And I see the next date is already planned. And I called them up and I said, okay, I want a ticket to the next one. Nope, it's already taken. You can't go. I said, oh, I'm gonna stop that right now. I said, okay. So I saw the date that their second one was going to happen. I put my date before their date, and I had the second one. And I ended up doing cigar dinners from that point. That was my 7-year anniversary of Two Guys Smoke Shop. 7. This will be 40 next year. So that became an ongoing thing for me. The Ritz-Carlton stopped doing it, and once again, I never quit. I keep going and going and going, and it's the longest running cigar dinner ever. And I'm happy to say cigar dinners start popping up all over the place. Oh, retailers can do this or whatever. It's not just a hotel.
Right.
They stopped doing it. Retailers did it. Okay, how can I bring entertainment, the little that I knew about entertainment from being a disc jockey, into the cigar industry? Let's smoke cigars while being entertained. And I bring musicians in, comedians in, different things, guest speakers. We had Red Auerbach, if you remember who he was. He was the coach of the Boston Celtics who lit a cigar up in the stands when his team was far enough ahead. He'd pulled a cigar out of his pocket, and the announcers would say, Red Auerbach is taking a cigar out, ladies and gentlemen. He's calling it now. The game is over. There was still 10 minutes left in the game. Once he lit the cigar, it was over. He called it at that point. And I said, Red, I got to have you. He was a customer anyway. And I said, I got to have you at an event. And I just kept jumping on these things the best I could to promote cigars, including that cigars are not bad for you, that it's not a cigarette, that it's a different product. This was all in Massachusetts. Fast forward 5 or 6 years after that, Massachusetts implements a tax on cigars, which didn't exist anywhere. Now it's everywhere, but it didn't exist. And I tried to go to those retailers that I said treated me bad. They were my competitors now at this point, and said, you got to join me, and you got to come to the State House, and we got to fight this. And they told me, get out of the store. Get out of the store. I'm their competitor. And that was a shame, because I said, okay, I got to fight by myself. And when you fight by yourself, you lose. United we stand, divided we fall. And here we are divided, and we're going to fall. And we did fall. I closed the 3 stores I had, which were in Massachusetts, after I lost that battle. And I started with 1 store again in New Hampshire, which is only 30 miles north. But I would not give them the 12% tax that they wanted. 12%. And back to zero. But I had to start at that point, 10 years in the business. I was the biggest cigar store in Boston at the time. I got to start from scratch all over again. Now, today, I have an organization here in New Hampshire, the Cigar Association in New Hampshire. We meet monthly right in my store. These are my competitors, but they're not my competitors. They're my friends. They happen to own cigar stores also, and we do business. And then we chat about the cigar business, too, at the same time. At the end, we light up a cigar, and it's just like you guys. And guess what? We're all in the cigar business, and maybe our customers jump from their store to my store or whatever, but they'll tell you it's the greatest. If we can get everybody to do it, that would be the difference. As opposed to fight, and none of you guys are really in the cigar business, right? You don't make a living on the cigar business, which is unbelievably beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that, because you listen. I make money doing it. I make my living off it. But if I didn't, I would be you. I tell you that right now, because I love it, and all the work I do is for the industry now. At this point, it's not money. And as I said to you about Nick Perdomo and all these guys that did very well, they're not doing it for money anymore. That is long gone. They're doing it because they love it, and you guys love it and do it on your off time. This is what you do. So you have to be thanked also, because honestly, without fanatics, cigar fanatics, it's over.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you, and that's why we do it for love. I mean, because we're trying to create something everybody can really enjoy. But I'm gonna turn my remaining time over to JJ, the cigar butt.
Hold on, JJ. Give me 1 second. When's the next dinner?
September 27th.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna. Well, next year, and I'm hoping that we still keep in contact between now and then. I will make sure that the 4 of us will be there to make sure.
I would love that. I would love that.
Said, I'm sorry,
here in the New England area, there's 7 cigar podcasts that happen really close by. And some of them started, we have a third show, The Ashholes, which was put together by my staff, because we did a show and then it became staff. And 3 of the shows are former Ashholes, former employees of mine who later ended up having their podcasts from there, and then other podcasts that popped around. And when I do my podcast on a Saturday, especially if it's a cold, rainy day or something like that, and the weather's lousy, they want to come in and smoke somewhere, I'll look in the audience, and there's a whole bunch of cigar podcasters in my audience watching me do the show, and I'll call them out when I see it. But what an honor to see that when I end up seeing that and say, this is their day off. They have their own podcast. I have a bigger podcast than them, and here they are in the audience. And I go, it's really, holy mackerel. It's unbelievable of this. And as I said, I don't think there's another industry in the whole world that is like this, with how the camaraderie and the people behind it, all the way through, from manufacturers all the way to the consumer and all the way through. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah. Well, like they've all said, and I'm a huge fan. Little shaky right now, and I more than thankful for you being here. It's different from just hearing your voice through my earphones at work to actually talking to you now. It's a big thing for me. And I really want to thank you for that.
Well, JJ, first off, you're a military guy, right?
Yes.
So thank you so much for your service. And that's the service of the most respected that I have of anybody. Never mind a guy that owns a cigar store. What the hell is that? Or even a guy that has a cigar brand. But you fought for the country. There's nothing more than that. So thank you so much. Thank you. And I have to know about the strength-o-meter. I have to know. I love the band between that. It's a beautiful thing for me. So I'm working on. I got an idea And listen, I think it's a winner. I don't care what the other guys say, but I envision someday of boxes of cigars that come in, and the little strengthometer rating
Nice.
number is on there. So they'll give you an idea of things that I do here in the office. How do I do this? So there's a little strengthometer. It's not going to come out good, right? You're not going to see it
There
good.
you go.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So that's a thought of a meter of something that would go on. Everything's backwards. That would go on a box. What do I go with? A little red one, a red circle that would be like that. Or do I just come right out and show the number? I'm looking at this and just trying to come up with an idea, get it to the manufacturers, and once it's been, it's not just me picking a number. It's picking the number with two knuckleheads that fight with me on everything. So once we've finally agreed, it should be in print somewhere that we agreed upon something, that the value of the strength. Now, why did I do it? Because people always ask, is it mild, medium, or full-bodied? And that's what they care about, the consumer. It's a big, big thing of, I think it's even more than the size of your cigar. Is a mild guy doesn't want a strong cigar. A strong guy doesn't want a mild cigar. Maybe people can meet in the middle, but how is it? And a guy will be in the lounge talking to another guy and say, oh, I'm trying this new West Tampa cigar before. How is it? Oh, it's kind of medium bodied. It's kind of full bodied for me or whatever. There's rating numbers, which you see, ratings from the 70s to 100 of a score of how well the cigar performs. But there's never been a score number of strength. And people will say it's subjective, but not in the way that I created it, where I list the things that are a 5, for instance. Here's a 6, here's a 7. So now you can look at it. Never mind if it says it's a 7 and you say it's an 8. It can be a square and a circle and a triangle. Is it a square, circle, or a triangle? Oh, it's a triangle. So I'm just putting a number on it and say, well, that stuff that fits in that box is going to be a 7, and this is going to end up helping the end consumer that wants to know where it is. Everybody does it different. You'll see on some boxes, they'll show a little meter and it shows it goes here. There's no number. There's no nothing. What does that mean? When there's a rep in the store, somebody says, the rep will say to the consumer, you like mild, medium, or full-bodied? The guy says, I like full-bodied. And then they'll show him a medium-bodied cigar. Well, it's not a full-bodied cigar. I know the guy, and he's not going to like that. Show him this one. I step in at that point because really I want the best for the consumer. They came into my store to buy, and I know you're a rep and you're trying to sell your things, but let's never give a guy a cigar that he's not going to like. The best we can anyway. You're setting it up for disaster at that point. So I think something like that needs to have happened. And I think this is it. Can it certainly be tweaked and improved? Sure. But at least it's the beginning of something. And I hope to see it someday that, this becomes a thing, and it doesn't have to be the Cigar Authority. If somebody has a better mousetrap, please make it and do it. But something needs to be done when it comes to this issue. And if there was a whole bunch of retailers here, the retailers would certainly understand that it is a problem because one person says one thing and one person says the other. There needs to be some sort of governing lack of a machine. If there was a machine that could tell you, beautiful. I say the machine. Well, there's draw testing machines, but there is no strength machine. Believe me, I've looked. I ask everybody, is there such a thing or whatever? Let's come up with something. Is there a way to tell me the nicotine content of the cigar so that we can end up putting that on or something that we can end up doing? And the answer is no. So, okay, strengthometer. These guys are, boy, and even our listeners busting my balls. It's like every single week with this strengthometer shit. But this is how it is. It's a joke until it ends up becoming something. As
right.
the nub cigar?
Mm-hmm.
I invented the nub. And it was a joke when I invented the nub. Everybody laughed about it until Jose Oliva came to my office one day and he saw it on my desk and he goes, "What's that?" And we talked about it for a while. He took some with him, and then he calls me later and wants me to meet him in Florida. When I went down there, I did, and he put a brand together called Nub. And he said, with your approval, I will actually really come out with a brand. Later selling the company for an awful lot of money, and that was a big reason for it. It was something that was actually needed in the cigar business. So that's what I try to do, is look for what's needed. We needed cigar podcasts. I did it. Now there's a whole bunch of people doing it. I'm not upset about it. I'm thrilled that that happens. And if somebody's got a better way to measure the strength of a cigar other than what I came up with after nobody else has, like the people that are complaining to me about it are complaining, but nobody's come up with a better idea. So
Right.
at least constructive criticism. Tell me it's no good, and it would be better if it was like this, but that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing it's no good, but till I get a better answer.
I think it's
Right.
Well, when you get a little bit of time off, what's a few things you enjoy doing?
This is where the problem lies. So I don't know what you want to call me, but I don't take time off at all. We had Sunday is my day off, and that was after maybe about 30 years. I was 7 days a week until 30 years, and then I said, you know what, I'll start taking Sunday off because it's a shorter day, and there's no reps that are going to come in the store, and I got a better chance unless there's an event or something going on. I'll take Sundays off. And Monday was a holiday, so we were closed. I had 2 days off in a row, and I love my family. Believe me, it's not that. It's just not me. I'm always thinking about it. If I didn't own the store, I'd be hanging at the store every day, so I might as well own it because I would be there. I love cigar smokers. I love hanging around. I love being around them. I love business at the same time. So I have never been to Europe. I have never been to Hawaii. I've never been to California. I've been to Nicaragua 100 times, Dominican Republic 200 times, but and down Miami. Why Miami? Because the manufacturers are there. But it's all work and no play. But don't feel bad for me because it is my play. You know, this is me playing. I get to play in the sandbox every single day, and I love it. Like the guy that I bought the diner from, I said, "You're miserable. Why would you do this every day and do it?" And then I found the thing that I love doing, and I would do it every single day. So I do. I do it every single day, and I love it. And here it is, 3 hours after closing, and I'm on a cigar podcast. And oh, Dave, I know you're busy and you do it. It is my pleasure. I said it my pleasure. I didn't say it just to be polite. I'm saying it because I love it. I love doing it. I love talking cigars. I like smoking cigars in the cigar business. I help other cigar retailers. They call me up. Would you mind if we could talk about my business? I'm happy to do it. I love to do it, so I keep doing it. And the accountants and the lawyers say I need to have an exit strategy. I'm 64 years old. You should start thinking of the 5-year plan and all this stuff. I said, the plan is I'm going to die at the desk. I'm going to be working. I hope like Eric Newman's dad. That's what I wish upon myself, to be honest with you, that I'm going to work that day and that's where it ends. That would be awesome if it ends up working. And I hope it's 30 years from now. But that's what I want to do. So I'm in this for the long haul for sure.
And do you have a daily driver cigar that you enjoy smoking daily?
Yeah, La Gianna. Gianna was made when my daughter was born 30 years ago. And I made that cigar to my taste profile. It has a natural one, which is a milder cigar. But the Maduro version, which I actually like better, Maduros today, the consumer thinks that Maduro means strong, and it doesn't. Maduro is ripe, and Maduro is sweet. But the manufacturers believe and know that people that look for fuller-bodied cigars look at Maduro. And when they take a Maduro leaf and they put it on a mild blend, the person that buys the cigar tends to say, oh, I don't like this cigar. It's way too mild. And it's a Maduro because they were hoping to get a strong cigar. And the guy that likes a nice mild cigar that would love this would never smoke it because it's a Maduro. So this is something that happened many, many years ago. So they started changing their blend in the Maduro version and beefed it up, higher priming tobaccos in it, maybe even a change of blend to do it to make the Maduro version stronger. But with La Giana, I didn't do it. And there were very few cigars that ever existed that did not do that. And I love it because it is a mild cigar, but it has Maduro sweetness to it. And it is just the wrapper that changed the difference of the two. So I tend to go to that La Giana Maduro is a go-to for me in the morning. And as the day goes on, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, sometimes unfortunately, though, I have to smoke samples all the time. So we have 1,100 different cigars that are at Two Guys Smoke Shop. But in order to get to 1,100, I had to smoke thousands and thousands of different ones. I have to turn them down. And to be honest with you, today, cigars are great. Back in the early 90s, they sucked, and it was, I had to smoke so many bad cigars to pick one. Now I have to actually eliminate that. I got to smoke the cigar, and I go, it's good, but there's only so much room. We don't have any more room, and when you bring something in, you got to take something away. So something's really got to stand out at that point. So I'm smoking samples all the time, saying, well, what do I think? Okay, what person is this as I'm smoking? Because I am a mild cigar smoker, but I smoke everything, and I smoke a good, strong cigar, and I go, oh, this guy's going to like it, and maybe even make a note of it, and we're going to take that brand on. And then I see the guy, and I go, I thought of you when I bought this cigar. Try one. I think you're going to love the cigar. Oh, my God, that's it. I can almost pick, like a good bartender could pick a drink for somebody. I'm a pretty good bartender when it comes to cigars. I can pick them for the certain people. And some of those would be, wow, I hated the cigar. It's not for me. There's no way I'm smoking that cigar again. Y'all going to love it. And I just know what a good cigar is from a bad cigar. The problem is everybody's making good cigars now.
Awesome. Well, Dave, again, thank you. That concludes my questions. And, we really appreciate you and your time.
All right. I expected some real tough ones out there, but these were easy. These were easy, and honestly, my pleasure. I enjoy it, and I don't have to text my wife and tell her where I am and what I'm doing. If I'm not there, I'm doing cigar stuff, and she knows I love it, and it's okay. And that was a good thing too, to find somebody to put up with an entrepreneur spirit. That's a cigar smoker. Actually, if I come home and I don't smell like a cigar, we got problems.
Beautiful. Yeah, we really greatly appreciate it. And it says a lot about yourself in regards to how you carry yourself. And honestly, all that, your drive is what leads to your success. And I see a lot of people in the industry that they get into some hiccups and they want to quit, and because it is a tough industry to get into. And, because it's something that it's always been a dream of mine, because I absolutely love cigars. Cigars has been in my life I've been smoking close to 30 years, pretty much 30 years now. And, the wife's like, I know you want to open up a lounge. I know you want to open a lounge, because the lounge that I go to, Don is, Don, when he came down to visit me, my shop is the shop that I would love to have. It's a shop that everyone's welcome. And even if you're a first time customer, everyone makes you feel comfortable. Nice. Everybody, hey, have you tried this? And we have, a habit of just giving people cigars out of our own lockers or etc., just to make them feel welcome.
Beautiful. Hey, listen, when I heard you guys wanted to interview me, I wanted to listen to the show. So I'm a listener now. I got through a handful of shows so far, but I'll tell you, you're coming in with something to talk about. You're a bunch of happy guys, number one. You don't talk over each other. Nicknames, by the way, I love nicknames. I don't have a nickname. maybe get a nickname for me someday or something. But I love that because that's a real friendly thing that you guys are doing. Positive, you're positive on the cigar industry, and you come in with topics. So I listened to the one where brick and mortar versus the online purchases, different shows that you do, that there's a subject matter of the show as opposed to some things, let's just wing it, having at least the subject matter going in. And believe me, I've had this past week, by the way, Chris Topper was our guest. He had a family emergency at the last minute, and I had 100 questions for Chris Topper from Topper Cigars, and at the last minute, he's gone. So I'm like, what are we going to do? There's just no time to end up putting something together, and it's okay. It derailed a little bit off of the direction we were on, which is fine if it derails in a good direction. But at least having a subject matter, as opposed to a bunch of guys swearing and bullshitting and not mentioning a cigar or talking about the cigar business in any way. And that's the stuff I look at and I go, it's not going to last. And there's no thought being put into it. You guys are doing it. So I'm happy to see that. And watch what you say next week, because I won't be there if you talk about me, because I'll hear it.
Oh, I don't know how many times when we hang out on Discord in the same squares, I bring you up multiple times on something
every night,
something you've said, and like I said, it's your podcast has been a go-to for me for a long time, and I'm very thankful for it.
Good. And that's another thing. If you look at my phone of full of cigar podcasts and business podcasts, and that's what I listen to. I'm not a sports guy at all. I have no idea. I'm in Boston with all the great sports teams and all that stuff. I have no idea. It's always been business and cigars. That's what I do. So I listen to everybody's podcast. Oh, you listen to my podcast? Yes, I am, because I'm one of you. I take off the Cigar Authority hat, or I take off the Two Guys Smoke Shop hat, and I'm a cigar consumer at that point, because I smoke a lot of cigars. I'm a consumer. I consume cigars. I'm for real. And by the way, so is every person that works for me. So that's another thing too, that I'm not looking for a bunch of cigar salesmen. I'm looking for a bunch of salesmen who smoke cigars. But you really have to know cigars, because in order to have good customer service, unless you're lucky enough to have the guys, like you said, in your lounge that are recommending cigars and stuff. But just in case it doesn't happen, I think I said it earlier, the people that go in the cigar shops are dying for knowledge. They want it. Right. They ask for it. It's not like, hey, leave me alone. They don't want to be left alone. They came in. They want to be left alone. They buy online. They want to be talked to, and they want to talk about cigars. So what better thing than provide a podcast to them and a topic of discussion, which happens every day in a cigar lounge. As I listen in there, I get a lot of ideas. When a guy's talking about something in the cigar lounge and I'm overhearing it, I go, that's a show right there. Okay, because I got to come up with 52 shows a year. So how do I do it after 14 years? I'm getting some good stuff out there from the people in the cigar lounge. What are they talking about? What do they care about? And you guys are consumers. So what do you talk about? The stuff you're talking about. So very good.
Thank you so much.
To stay, like I said, to stay relevant is the hardest part. To keep things so that it doesn't become monotonous. You know what I mean? That doesn't just become boring and the same old. Oh, this has this flavor, that flavor. I agree. And we try our best to come up with topics that every day, like you said, that I hear from the shop, from the guys, and guys will give some recommendations and stuff like that, and we'll talk it through. And okay, do we have enough information, or we do our own research, and so we have something so each and every one of us could contribute to the conversation.
Yeah. Keep in mind that you're going to have new people listening to you all the time. So I don't do it often enough. I have to remind myself to do it, as opposed to just say Maduro or just say V-Cut or something without without explaining it. So, every once in a while I got to go back and say Maduro. When I say Maduro, I'm meaning the dark wrapper that's on the outside of the cigar, because to us, of course, we know what the answer is, but there's some new guy and he goes, what does that mean? And they got to start jumping off to Google what it is. So, I'm asking questions, or I'm telling stories, or asking the people in my panel a question that obviously we know the answer to it, but we're asking the question anyway to get the conversation going. Ed Sullivan, who's our producer, well, before him, we had a guy, Chuck Morrison, Chuck was awesome. He was the radio producer for the New England Patriots. And he did our show also, but he didn't know a lot about cigars, which was pretty awesome, because he would ask the stupid question, if you want to call it a stupid question. And it's a terrible thing to say because it's not stupid, but it was great. Right. And it's what we're missing is we know a lot of these answers and we forget to go back and ask the question. And that's what's missing on us. But sometimes you guys are asking it. I've heard the question that you guys end up saying, or what you're talking about. And I said, I got to get to some of that. I got to remember to not take it for granted that everybody that's listening to my show has been listening for years. There's new people all the time. And that's what we want, is new cigar smokers. How do we grow this industry? It's new cigar smokers.
Right.
Educational aspect of it is very important, because, I've even guys in my shop, it isn't until recently that these guys actually started realizing what I was talking about when I said, oh, this is spicy. This has some black pepper. This has some red pepper. This has some cocoa. And most of these guys smoke just because they enjoy smoking. They don't know why they like it, or what type of, you know what I mean? And it's so funny because I had a conversation with my best friend about it. I go, this is what you're tasting. And when I started putting things in perspective to him, he was like, I get it. Now I understand. And you're right. Education is so important. And we can't take it for granted that people just know what we're speaking of when we talk about a profile of a cigar.
Yeah. And you're helping the next guy out. And once he says, okay, there's coffee notes, I taste it now that you say that. Okay, yeah, there it is. It's there. You change the guy's life because he's never going to not. There was when Padron first came out, a guy took me to dinner one night after work. Said, I want to take you to dinner. In those days, you could smoke right in a restaurant. So he takes me there and he said, I want to order this Black Forest chocolate cake for dessert because I want to smoke a cigar with it. And I want you to taste this. And I had to get this dessert. So I'm like, what's this all about? Well, in a Black Forest cake, there's a little raspberry that's with the dense chocolate cake. And he says, okay, taste where the raspberry meets the dense chocolate cake. Taste that. So I taste it. He says, all right, light that Padron up. So I'm like, really? I light the Padron up. I can't smoke a Padron cigar today without tasting that exact thing. Changed everything. It never went away. It never went away. Yeah. And he changed my life, and he was a customer, but I wasn't getting it. I knew a spicy cigar or whatever, but then you start trickling down and you start getting into these crazy flavors, but it's there, and you have to sometimes explain it to the person, and they taste it, and you change their life for the better. They start enjoying cigars like they never did before because they never witnessed it before. And we're talking some heavy-duty people in the cigar industry, I've done it too, that say, yeah, I never got any of that. Okay, we got to really sit down and do this. And they could smell the seasoning and then taste the cigar. Okay, I get it now. Or taste it and then taste the cigar. Okay, because you forget what things taste like until you're tasting at the same time you're tasting the cigar when you end up tasting it. So they say, no, I don't taste black pepper. Here's some black pepper. Now taste the cigar. Taste black pepper. Holy shit. Okay. There it is. There it is. You're not making it up, right?
I'll tell you, the defining moment for me, we have a young guy that we all know and we all associate with, and he was a tobacconist at the local shop that I used to go to, and they've since closed. But he gave me a cigar one day, and I smoked it. And I didn't care for it as much. He's like, you didn't taste this. I said, no, I really didn't. He goes, not even on the retrohale. I was like, oh, I don't even know how to retrohale, you know. And he was like, no. Here, come on. And he kind of taught me how to retrohale at that time, which was, it's hard the first couple of times you do it,
Sure.
but then I started tasting the flavor in that retro, and I was like, I got a newfound respect and like for that cigar,
Sure.
whereas just on the palate, it wasn't my favorite,
I tell even customers say I didn't like it. I said, you really got to smoke it the second time. You do that to a restaurant too, that give them a second shot or something. Sometimes it was the wrong time for the cigar or something, because you got to miss some stuff too, that if everybody's saying it's good and you're saying I didn't care for it, at least give it a second shot. I do. I've turned cigars down. I'm not going to carry it. And the next thing you know, everybody's talking about the Holy Grail, this cigar, and I go, all right, I got to try it again and try it again. And sometimes it's like, okay, I don't know what was happening that day, but I didn't give it a fair shot because this is a damn good cigar.
Right.
We're talking about cigars before we ended up. So let's talk a little bit about your cigars. Where you have them manufactured, who's manufacturing them for you, who's rolling for, where you getting your tobacco from.
Everybody that's in the cigar industry knows me, so United Cigar, which is a subsidiary of mine, I own it. I don't run the operation; it's all of Nouveau. I don't want to take anything past him because he does all the work to it. But I started the company up. It was educational. It was built for education, not for cigar retailing. We were looking to unify all the different cigar retailers. It didn't work. Oliver jumps in and says, okay, let's just go into distribution of cigars. So I tried to make things very affordable for retailers, because I wrote a book called David versus Goliath, How to Compete and Beat the Online Giant. It's not a book about cigars. It's about business. It doesn't mention cigars in it. It talks about all different kinds of businesses. But the truth of the matter is, I've been in the cigar business for 40 years. It's all about cigars. Everything, every promotion and everything that's in there is about cigars. And what I tried to do with the retailer is help them survive through the mail order company competition. And some things are available to these big online giants that aren't available to brick and mortar stores. And for the most part, it becomes value cigars. They're not the big Davidoff stores that sell online. They're selling lower price products. And those products, honestly, are not available to brick and mortar stores. So even with big names on them. So a Rocky Patel that I carry for $10, $12, they have a Rocky Patel that's maybe $4. It's not the same Rocky Patel at all, but Rocky Patel will make it for them if they buy 500,000 cigars or some crazy thing. Well, stores can't do it. So the idea of United was, together we can do it, that I can make it for all of us. And I did for myself anyway to compete. So I can do it and let you guys in on it, and we can have products that would compete. So we have Davidoff make products for us. We have a brand called Studio 21 that they've been doing for years for us. They make some they don't even want me saying what their brands are to do it. Recently that was a new thing, that don't use our name when doing it, but it's been out there for so long. La Giana is 30 years old, and they make La Giana for me. So you're talking about a cigar under $10 and a great cigar. Garofalo is made, and I didn't make Garofalo. I never put my name on it. I put Gianna's name on it. She's my daughter, but I never put my name. But one day on my 50th birthday, Nick Perdomo came to visit me. He brought me a box of cigars. I thought it was a one-off of a box of cigars. He put Garofalo on and on the bands, and he didn't. He made a brand, and he called it Garofalo. And I'm like, what are you, crazy? Why would you do this? He's only made 2 brands. Every brand is called Perdomo except Garofalo. And I go, what are you doing? He goes, somebody needed to do it. And I'm like, I don't think so. And he goes, yeah, somebody needed to do it. So Perdomo makes that. Aladino makes Abuelo, when I became a grandfather, abuelo, for us. We have Jose Dominguez that we distribute cigars for him that makes our United Cigar brand, and countless others. We have Red Anchor that is Kellner. So Kellner's not with Davidoff any longer, and he's a smart man, a good man. The whole family. So the Kellner family, they do Red Anchor. Red Anchor is the oldest cigar brand in the world. Came out in 1772. First cigar brand ever out of Delft, Holland. So why did Hanky Kellner do it? Because he's from Delft, Holland. That's where he was born. And I bought the trademark many, many years ago. I waited till the 250th anniversary of it. He made it for us, and we relaunched the Red Anchor that was out many, many years ago. I'm a historian. I love the history of cigar brands. United Cigar Brand is also a brand that's been out since 1901. It was the biggest cigar store in the world. It had thousands of locations, and they were so big. Back in the day, cigar stores were big magazine stores too. We just didn't sell cigars. We sold magazines, including Two Guys Smoke Shop. They were so big on selling magazines. One of the biggest things they sold was Marvel Comics. They were such a big Marvel comic dealer, they bought Marvel Comics. United Cigar owned Marvel Comics.
Wow.
So that's how big United Cigar was. So I got the trademark of United Cigars many years ago. And all these things have historical things of the cigar industry. I love the history so much, I created the Cigar Hall of Fame. You can go to the cigarhalloffame.com. And last year was the first year we inducted 3 cigar brands into the Hall of Fame, 2 of which you may not even know what those brands are. You may never have heard of them. But they were there for a big reason, because they're what started the cigar industry. And it's not Red Anchor. It's cigar brands that have a real history, and we're in the industry because of these brands, not the brand owners, but the brands themselves. And 3 more will get inducted to the Hall of Fame on September 27th at our anniversary, and every year after that. And I hope that continues for years and years on there. These are passion products. There's no business to it at all. It's like, okay, what am I going to leave behind? These stories that are going to be forgotten. And I talked to old people in the cigar industry, as I told you. Who did I care about? It was Avo, and it was, the Padrones, and it was the old people in the cigar industry. Before they left, I had to hear the story. Okay, they passed away. Now where does the story go? It's going to go into the Hall of Fame, because we all wouldn't be here if it wasn't for these brands. So it's just another thing. What else can I possibly do? I don't know. I'm all in. What do I do with my spare time? It's the next thing I can possibly think of to help this industry out.
Beautiful. You're doing a wonderful. I think I kind of thought I think I got a nickname for you now.
Yeah. Okay. Here it goes.
It might sound a little cheesy, but I think it's suitable. I really do. The podcast Godfather. I mean, it just has a ring. I think that you've earned that title. I think what you have done for this industry, I honestly, I think it deserves the title and the praise that you get. And honestly, I am greatly honored that you blessed us today with.
Please.
No, I'm being very sincere with you, David. Listen, where can the people find you if they're not following you?
TheCigarAuthority.com, where reviews. By the way, we don't even do our own reviews. We have a panel of reviewers, so I'm not going to score a cigar. If we carried a cigar, I think it's damn good. I don't need to say is it a 90 or a 91 or anything like that. Also, people frown on me a bit that we don't publish bad reviews. We don't publish bad reviews because I don't want to be bad to the cigar industry. This is somebody's baby. I don't want to hurt them. I'm only here to help. So if you're looking for somebody to talk bad about somebody's cigar, you came to the wrong place. The Cigar Authority isn't going to be that for you. We got twoguyscigars.com. That's our online and our retail stores that we have. United Cigar, I believe it's UnitedCigarRetailers.com, which, again, the reason for United Cigar was not to sell retailer cigars. It was to get our industry together and educate and help the retailer. It went on a different path, but it's still United Cigar Retailers because that's who it's for. So we created brands to help retailers compete and beat the online giants. We need to have value products. Some stores say, I only want to sell expensive cigars to my customers. That means you're losing. Maybe they come in and buy a cigar from you, and they'll buy the bulk of their cigars online because everybody has a budget. And I get it. It was so interesting listening to your episode when it came to buying online, buying versus brick and mortar. And you all want to support brick and mortar. But if they do not carry products that fit your budget, you're either not going to smoke or you're forced to buy online. Retailers need to have budget products. Believe me, the guy that smokes Davidoff is not going to buy the budget product. It's not him. It's not him. He's not going to do it because I have it. At one time when we were allowed to have low price domestic machine-made cigars in New Hampshire, and we're not allowed to anymore. It's not a premium cigar, and it's taxed at an exorbitant rate, which I'm not willing to pay. We were the biggest Phillies, Hava Tampa, Garcia Vega, and Perotti dealers in the United States. At the same time, I was the number one Davidoff dealer in the world. So I had Davidoff and all those lowest. So you can be everything to a cigar industry. You can't be everything to everybody in every industry. But cigars, you're talking a little teeny industry. Why would you not have a budget cigar for the guy that either chooses to smoke budget cigars or can only smoke budget cigars? You're sending them not to your competitor up the street. You send them online. I don't want you to go online to even me. I want you to support your brick and mortar retailer. We need them. Every cigar brand in the world that ever made it started in the cigar store. The online retailer never built a cigar brand in their life. They only want it after it's built. And most of them are owned by the companies, manufacturers themselves. Giant manufacturers support the brick and mortar, family-owned or operated retailers and family-owned and operated cigar companies. That's what I believe in. That's what I've been doing for years and years, and I'm going to continue to do it. So yay to you guys that care enough about the business you're not even in. It's not just you. There's a bunch of you that are out there. I couldn't thank you all enough because, listen, the only reason why I go to work every day is because of you. And I say it to my employees every single day. I said, don't ever look at the customer as an interruption of our day. They are the only reason why we come to work. That's it. That's the only reason why we come. If it wasn't for them, stay home. Right. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, absolutely. That's right.
That's such a profound statement. In whatever industry you're in, the customer is not an interruption to your day.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Beautiful words.
Yeah, like I said, I can't thank you enough. I appreciate your time. But before we go, we're going to give also thanks to our sponsor as well. Roll that beautiful. What's going on, guys? This is your boy Panda, and your boy Panda has some great news. We have teamed up with Burn One Cigar Bar, located at 7328 Royal Palm Boulevard in Margate, Florida. Guys, Burn One Cigar Bar is your go-to destination for the finest selections of premium cigars at unbeatable prices. Step into a world of luxury and relaxation as you indulge in the smooth flavors and exquisite aromas of our carefully curated cigars collection. But that's not all. Burn One Cigar Bar has teamed up with us for an exclusive sponsorship opportunity just for you. When you call Burn One and purchase any box of cigars, you unlock a fantastic discount of 20% of your order using special discount code PANDA. You can contact Burn One at 954-970-0001 or on their social media pages, Facebook and or Instagram. Guys, don't miss this chance to elevate your cigar experience without breaking the bank. Visit Burn One Cigar Bar today. Mention discount code PANDA and treat yourself to premium cigars at incredible value. Hurry up, this offer won't last. Burn One Cigar Bar, where luxury meets affordability. And they ship nationwide. Peace.
It's all about the experience.
That is a nice looking store. That is clean, well organized. I love looking at a store like that. That's your home store?
Yes, it is.
So if I go there, I could bump into you.
Absolutely.
I'll call you before I go.
I'm gonna tell you
Please
right
do.
now, if you go there, you will bump into him.
Here we go.
I'm like part of the furniture.
That's a good looking store.
Yeah, I
Nice
appreciate
selection.
that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it's so funny, honestly, that your accent being from Boston and obviously me being from New York. I have a good friend that's from Boston. He's actually on the job. This is obviously you see what I do for a living.
Yes.
And my good friend of mine, he's up in Mashpee, and
Okay.
he's on the job up there. And yeah, every time I hear you talk, he just I'm gonna be meeting up with him next month. They're coming down here to visit me and the fam. We're gonna go to St. Augustine. Have you ever been to St. Augustine, Florida?
Nope.
Well, whenever you have a moment, I highly recommend to bring the family. I promise you, you will enjoy because you're a big historical person like I am. Look them up. It's the oldest city in the nation, and you will absolutely love it.
Where's that? West Coast?
It's central.
Okay.
It's central. It's literally it's about 30 minutes south or 40 minutes south of Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
I mean, and when I tell you, whenever you get a chance, look it up. You will not be disappointed. I promise you, because it is such a good. And they have these trolleys and stuff like that. I'll get more into it after the show. But once again, David, thank you so much for your time. Catch you on the next one, guys.
Peace.
Peace.